All right, I'm going to record a little video where I walk you through doing a resume. So open up the assignment, and if you were not in class or you want more information, read the PDF. I'm not going to go through that all right now, but open up the template, and you'll see that you don't want to request edit access. I tell you in the instructions, you just go to the file menu here and say make a copy, and then say do your name and say resume draft 1. I'm pretending there's a person named Bobby Hayes. So first up, put your first and last name here. And put your real telephone number. That's not my phone number, but you should put your real phone number on there. And then I'd like you to have a professional email. So that's not your school email address. You need to have a personal email. In my instructions, I talk about it. If your personal email is dude who likes to party, I'd advise you to get a more professional email that you can use with work and school. It's just a good idea to get that, and they're free. You can go to Google and get a free Gmail account that's your name, something like that, that's professional. So this is a requirement to have a non-school email address there. And if you need help getting a non-school email address, you could talk to your parents. You might have Comcast or AT&T and be able to get a free email through your internet company, for example, if you don't want to do Gmail. Okay, so then I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. It doesn't have to be quite this small. The objective, I'd like you to leave it like that, unless you have some other specific objective. Summary of skills. This is where you would put things like punctual, hardworking, good with people. And I'm asking that you have these things go together well. So you wouldn't also here say worked on fixing an engine and got it all back together. I mean, that's a good thing to talk about, but it doesn't flow with punctual, hardworking, good with people. You could either describe this in the work experience down below or specialized skills. You could say, hey, able to, completely rebuild an engine. I'm gonna stop with these specialized these 3 skills. I mean, you can have. I wouldn't do less than 3. Okay, education. I'm suggesting for 10th graders and up, maybe leave middle school off. If you're a 9th grader, you could put your middle school on there, and you're going to put the dates when you plan to be at this school. And so like a freshman started August 2020, and you're going to graduate May 2024. You would change this year if you're a sophomore, junior, or a senior. And then expected graduation, change it to your thing, and then remove this note. You wouldn't have this note here in a resume you were handing to someone. And then your GPA, if your GPA is 3.2 or higher, put it on here. So you could say 3.87. And to find your GPA, you can go onto the Aries portal or ask your parents to help you get on the Aries portal. The first quarter is wrapping up, so you might be able to get your GPA, although the grades might not close until Thursday at noon. Anyway, we'll do the best we can here. If your GPA, if you know it's lower, then you can just delete this line. So you wouldn't put GPA 2.7 on there just because you're trying to get a job and you want it's okay to not list it if you don't have a good GPA, but you don't want to put a bad one on there. And then relevant coursework would be if you knew you were going to apply to a computer company, you could say proficient. You could say computer programming class fall 2020. programming, or if you were, if there was something related to writing and you're in honors English, you could put that on there. But if you don't have a specialized relevant coursework, another example, I guess, would be if you were in a higher level Spanish class and you were applying for a job where you needed to speak Spanish, you could mention that you're in Spanish 4 or Spanish 3. If you don't have any relevant coursework, go ahead and remove that. Then work experience. Here's where you would put uh, put a company that you worked at. So I'm just going to pretend Bobby had a job at Ace Hardware, and put the city, and then dates employed. So you'd say May 2018 to the present, if you still worked there, or May 2018 to June 2020, or that's in the future. But you get my point. You can do a range like this, or if the job was only for a summer, you could say, let me finish this. Stocking clerk. I'm just making up a job. Restock display cases. Candy help with loading vehicles. I'm just making up a job. Okay. Now, I guess that could be 2 listings. And okay. And then I don't want to say anything more. I just made up a potential job that I could have had at a hardware store. And so you remove bullet items that you don't use. You don't have to have 3 bullet items. It's good if you don't just have 1. Let's say you don't have a paying job, because I know a lot of people think about this and they're like, oh, I've never had a job before. But that's okay. You could, let's say you've helped your neighbor. And you could say summer 2017 to present. And you could say yard work, pet feeding. And you could say regularly watered my neighbor's yard. They were away, mowed lawns for pay, fed horses and chickens, walked dog. I mean, I'm just giving you some ideas if these are things that you've done before, and take away bullets that you don't need. And then notice I'm leaving 1 blank line between each section. That's something that you should do. You don't want the sections to like run together like I just made this do. It's nice to be consistent. So if you have another job you want to do, just copy this whole thing and paste it. I pasted it, and then then you can say happy coders summer camp, Sebastopol summer 2020. Here's an example of a job I just did 1 summer, and then you could say camp counselor. Helped students learn to program over Zoom. And then I'm going to say Python, Java, Scratch, just giving some computer programming. So, I mean, this is awesome, right? If you don't have 3 things, don't put 3 things on. And if you only have 1 thing, put the 1 thing on. And if you don't have something for your neighbor, talk about some responsibilities you have in your family. Maybe you take care of a pet. Maybe you do laundry. Maybe you do dishes. Maybe you help clean the house. Awards and achievements, this is optional. If you got an award, I'm I'm just making up an award, and I'm going to only have one award line, and then specialized skill. I'm going to say fluent in Spanish and able to diagnose and repair many common computer problems. And then I'm going to get rid of this last line. Okay, and so most resumes look like this, and then they should end with this line: references available upon request. And what that means is when you're applying for a job, usually an employer is at some point before they're interested in you, but they haven't decided yet. They want to ask you for references, and these are people that can talk about you and say good things about you. So as you get ready to look for a job, you'll want to think about who might be a reference for you. So people that can be a reference for you are certainly people you've already worked for. So it could be a neighbor. If you work in a family business, it could be a parent or whoever you work for. Although it's best to have your references not be your parents or your sister and brother or aunt and uncle. But if you work for a family in a family business, that'd be okay. It can be a teacher or administrator at school. If you feel like somebody at school knows you well, it could be a neighbor. It could be someone from a church or any other group you're involved with outside of school, gymnastics, Boy Scouts, a sports team. If you have a coach that could say good things about you. So you don't have to give any of that information for today. I'm just giving you that background. That's what references are, and you want to leave this line in: references available upon request. Because then when you apply for a job, at some point they might say, can we get your references? And then it's good to have already thought of this, like, oh, here's some people that I can give names and telephone numbers of who will say nice things about me. All right. So I just made up all this stuff because I don't have a kid named Bobby Hayes. Although I get mail for a kid named Bobby Hayes because one of my sons actually put that name down once in some sort of form. And now we get credit card applications for a kid named Bobby Hayes, which is hilarious. But I just throw them all away. Anyway, I need you not to make up everything. You need to make a real resume that fits your life, that's honest and accurate. So if you're stumped, you need help, you have trouble, you could talk to a parent or other relative that you think might be able to help you. And you also can talk to me. So if you're stumped, you can send me an email, or we'll be able to talk in class at our next Zoom class. All right. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.